Hi.
All right. Welcome, everyone. You're tuned into a presentation that is brought to you by multiple networks of people who are progressive people trying to help people with their health. And the leaders, or our speakers tonight, are leaders of their respective networks. We have, first, we're going to hear from Natalie Baldock, who is a whole food coach. And then we're going to hear from Noreen Macdonald, who is a naturopath. And together, they are the Foodie and the Naturopath. They'll be releasing, already have released, but there's a series of presentations such as this. One was released last month, it was called Gut Health, which was really enlightening when it comes to mind and body connection, especially in regards to gut health. Tonight will be depression and anxiety, and next month they're doing a presentation on women's health. Now, I volunteered to host tonight because when it comes to anxiety and depression, I'm particularly interested as of late. I've committed to my personal health. It's been about 3 months now. Always been interested in psychology and different issues that we go through. And I feel like I had some ideas worth spreading, if you will. So with that in mind, I feel like before I throw it over to Nat, I just want to kind of get my 2 cents in about what I've learned over the last little while that I think could be really helpful. One of the main things that's worked for me really is to be self-aware. And when I say to be self-aware, I mean, ultimately, obviously, through your daily life, you're paying attention to your impact on the world and how you're affecting people and just life in general. But also, even to the point where I see a lot of people are defensive today. And they're defensive. What I mean by that is if somebody criticizes you, so many people go to the defense. However, I've learned that it can be interesting to consider what they have to say, especially if it's behind your back, because then you know it's probably a little bit more truthful. People have a harder time telling you the truth up front. So that in mind, I feel like when you get a sense of how people feel about your actions and what you are doing, consider that, and ultimately that'll bring your issues to the surface. It'll help you get an idea of how you're being perceived and what your actions, how it's affecting people around you. Ultimately, though, day-to-day life and self-awareness, you can find, I think we all have an idea of what our bad habits are, and not turning a blind eye to them and really trying to be aware of how these are damaging ourselves or what have you, just how we can improve these bad habits. Awareness, I think, is the key to mental health, self-awareness, and finding out what your bad habits are or how you're affecting the world negatively and trying to fix that. With that said, I'll leave it to the experts. I'm the host. That's what I get to do. So I'm going to throw it over to Natalie Baldock, who is a force in her own right, and I'm looking forward to what she has to say. Natalie, over to you.
Thank you, darling. You know what? It's so nice to start the talk with something more spiritual, because I think, at the end of the day, we are really heart-centered beings, and sometimes anxiety disorder and depression can be completely related to the fact that we're not living on purpose and in our purpose each and every day. And if we're actually creating a little bit of negativity around us, that's there to teach us the direction that we're supposed to go in. So, a lot of people work in a job, or they live a life that they don't necessarily want to, and this can create a lot of angst, and it actually causes a lot of anxiety for a lot of people. And I can certainly put my hand up and say there were times in my life where I did things that I thought I had to do that didn't take me down that journey of joy and happiness and peace. And it took me until I got sick for me to actually have my pivot point. And I was 26 years old. I'd suffered for 15 years with systemic Candida albicans. And if anyone knows anything about Candida, it can cause a lot of women's health issues. Hence why next week we're talking about women's health. And, I love the word women's health. It's very boring and it doesn't sound like a very exciting topic, but we will be talking about the reproductive system, and we'll be talking about, you know, all things women. So it is a talk for women, and if boys want to jump on or men want to jump on, I dare you. It'll be really interesting. But anyway, my story is really that I actually had to have a pivot point because I was so wrought with Candida albicans, and that caused a lot of anxiety disorder and depression inside of me, because I really was trying to battle with how do I deal with this series of symptoms, which were quite problematic for me as a woman. But I got through that by learning how to balance my life out. And what I wanted to talk to everyone about today, as a food coach, I'm trained under the Institute of Integrative Nutrition out of New York. I'm very fortunate to have been doing this for about 9 years now, coaching in the area of whole food nutrition, and I classify myself as an intuitive coach. Now I see that it's definitely got a lot to do with food, how people can actually behave, but I also feel that there are external factors as well, things that we do each and every day that can impact our joy in a positive or a negative way. So as a food coach, and if we're just talking about food today, I want to talk about something I call the 3 systems of health. Now, the 3 systems of health is really pertinent, and people naturally eat like this when they are in a healthy state of mind. So 3 systems of health is that we really support 3 systems in our body for energy to create wellness, or health and vitality, or joy. And so when we look at a plate of food, we need to have a balanced we need to have balance on that plate. We need to have food combining to a T, but so many people don't understand what that looks like. So when we look at the nervous system that needs good fats, really good quality fats, omega-3s, omega-6s, omega-9s in a 2-1-1 ratio, and people don't know what that means, but really that's just a Mediterranean diet, lots of fish, lots of olive oil, lots of nut and seed fats, versus your grainy fats. And omega-6s, when they're too high, we see a lot of anxiety disorder and depression. So when people are having too much bread, too much pasta, too much rice, and not enough fruits and vegetables, and specifically not enough fatty foods like fish, like nuts, like seeds, like olives, like olive oil, coconut oils and things like this, what we see is a rise of sluggishness in the brain. And that sluggishness is the beginning of the spiralized effect that can impact our lives negatively, hence maybe anxiety disorder and depression because of complete exhaustion, because the body's working on the back end. So good fats are really important. So we know if we're looking at a plate, that good fat could be fish, could be nuts, could be seeds, could be a dressing, right? It could be a really healthy, hearty bone broth. But then when we look at the next area that we need to feed on our plates, we need to feed our digestive system. Now this digestive system needs fermented foods, and it also needs pre and probiotic foods, but it also needs protein. So prebiotic foods are anything that stimulates digestion. And then probiotic foods are anything that is fermented. And then protein is anything that is a really good source of protein that actually feeds and nourishes the digestive system. So we're talking about really good quality nuts, really good quality tempeh, tofu, good quality fish, good quality organic meats, good quality organic chickens, things that haven't been processed and full of antibiotics and microbiomes and fungals and things like this, because it's really important to understand that natural food needs to be as close to nature as possible. The next area that we need to feed each and every day to gain energy, by the way, just with gut health, the reason why we need to feed our gut bacteria, good quality bacteria and good quality protein, is to build the mineral bond and also to build the bacteria ecosystem in the gut. So serotonin can be produced in the gut and fed to the brain for us to have happy hormones and happy endorphins running through our body that makes us feel joy. When we don't feed our body any fermented foods, we can honestly say we're working on the back end with digestion. So we're supposed to have 120 strains of microbiome in the gut for happy, healthy ecosystem in the gut. But apparently, according to statistics and current health records, what we're looking at is that people in Australia and New Zealand have about 50 to 70% microbiome left in their gut. So what they're doing is they're trying to digest heavy foods like bread, pastas, rice, and like sugars and like dairies without enough bacteria to help that digestive process. So then when we do this and we fill our body full of sauerkrauts and kefir yogurts and kombucha and water kefirs and good protein, what happens is we stimulate digestion and we send serotonin to the brain. The brain just says, thank you, I'm happy, I feel connected, and I can actually function at a very high level. Now, the last thing that we need on our plate is things like fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, grasses, good quality grains if you are going to eat them, sprouts, and things like this, because this is your fruit and vegetables for your immune system. All your vitamins, all your minerals, and all your antioxidants come from the plant kingdom. So if we're looking at a plate, we're looking at protein, we're looking at a dressing, we're looking at a salad. So we're looking at fish and salad with a dressing. We're looking at meat and veg cooked in coconut oil and beautiful spices and salts. We're looking at a smoothie with a plant-based protein and lots of green nutrition blended up with a coconut water and some coconut oil. We're looking at a beautiful bone broth with all that beautiful mineral nutrition from the bones and the marrow. And we're looking at that amazing broth, which is has great healing properties for the gut. And then you pack it full of vegetables and maybe a little bit of chicken or maybe a little bit of meat or maybe just a few lentils. And they are balanced meals that actually feed the nervous system, digestive system, and the immune system. Those three things actually create energy in the gut and in the body and in the brain that actually halt any reason for depression. Fat is so important for brain health. Fermented foods are really important for brain health, and plant-based nutrition is essential for brain health, especially veggies over fruit. Veggies are the building block for your immune system and your brain function. So you need mineral nutrition, fat, and good quality bacteria to actually feel alive, connected, and powerful. I'll give you a quick analogy. All the way through high school, I ate mostly bread, pasta, and rice as an athlete. I always fell asleep at my desk. I was classified as someone who had suspected dyslexia. I was a C to D average student, and I always thought that I wasn't smart. I got my diet right at 26. I started to study personal training, functional fitness, nutrition, and all of a sudden I'm studying Ayurvedic medicine, quantum physics, neuroscience, neuroplasticity. I'm studying everything to do with food, nutrition, and cells and biochemistry, and I absolutely absorb everything I read because I have enough fat in my brain. I have enough good protein in my body. I have enough good plants in my body. And really, I've kept it so simple. It is a beautiful, healthy juice in the morning to stimulate my gut, to actually put my brain back alive. I go and exercise, I breathe fresh air, I come home, I have a smoothie. At lunchtime, I have a piece of protein with salad and a dressing. And at nighttime, I might have a bone broth with lots of vegetables and lentils and things like this. And this is a rhythm I've had for such a long time, which keeps me really, really healthy and on track. And as a 43-year-old woman, I don't think I've ever felt this content in life. And I do remember a time where depression and anxiety disorder was upon me, and it was that awful feeling of, I don't know what I am worth and I don't know why I'm here. And now, the other side of that, there is a rhythm that you can have each and every day. And that's why I'm a part of the Juice Plus company. Juice Plus is a product that found me 8.5, 9 years ago, where I could put in whole food concentrate, fruit and vegetable nutrition and berry nutrition into my body that could elevate my immune health. And then they brought out a great digestive health formula in the way of the complete protein. And that just lifted my health again. And just more recently, in the last 30, 40 days, they have just introduced an omega-3 fatty acid for brain health, heart health, circulation, and nervous health, which actually has just impacted my health again on another level. I've always taken good fats in my diet, but now I have a plant-based omega that I can add to my diet. And one of the reasons why I've been so active in the Juice Plus community for so many years now is because we are a one-stop shop. And we have these 3 beautiful products for these 3 systems. And so when people aren't eating enough, and when people aren't perfect, and when people can't get the quality and they can't get the variety, they can supplement with something that is actually researched, that's actually a plant-based concentrate, that actually has no known contaminants or wheat or yeast or gluten, heavy metals, herbicides or pesticides, and it actually works. And so after seeing over 15,000 clients in the last 9 years, we've seen the most profound effects in about 99% of each client that is actually referred to this product. So it's something that I love, and something that I recommend from the biggest place of love, because it works. And I, hand on heart, it's something that I have been very proud to be a part of for such a long time. And I will tell you something else that's really quite interesting. I've never, ever been faithful to anything for more than a year or 2. And let's not talk about men, but we're actually just talking about, the business or health or something. I was always looking for something, and I've been doing this now for 9 years, and I've been very faithful to this because I finally found something that worked. But I just wanted to say to all of you, I don't want anyone to have to get sick to discover what they need to do. It would be just great if we could all just discover what we need to do and be passionate and happy in that space and not have to get sick in the first place. So I'm going to hand it over to my beautiful friend Noreen, who is an amazing naturopath, who has been my friend since we were 15 years old. And we put these calls together for everybody because we just truly want to give the most amount of love to our clients.
Awesome. Thanks, Natty. Yay. Round of applause for Nat, everyone. I always learn something more when I hear Nat speak. And we are really seriously passionate about doing these calls and continuing to do them because we thought it was quite cool to come from the perspective of a foodie, being Nat, and me being a naturopath. So thank you, Nat. I loved your share. And I want to get a little bit vulnerable with you guys about anxiety and depression because it is real and it is out there and it's on the rise. I mean, I'm sure everybody that's listening tonight or on the recording has been through a period of their life where things haven't felt so great. And for me, I've been through depression twice in my life. Once was 20 years ago when I was going through a failed business and I was in a hole. I'm generally been a happy person for my life up until that point, and these emotions that I was feeling were really, really foreign to me. And I didn't know what was wrong. I kept thinking, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? But I couldn't figure out a way to get out of it. And I made my way out of it by actually just closing that business down and going overseas. So I changed my circumstance. I changed the situation. That's not always available to everybody that's having anxiety and depression. The second time I had depression was, I don't even like calling it postnatal because yes, it was after I had my baby, but to be honest, I actually think I was going through a grieving process of my old life. And I was not in a good way. I was down and out. I was in a black hole that I couldn't claw my way out. I didn't know how to ask for help. I was kept saying, I'm not coping, but I didn't have anyone around me really to help. And it wasn't until I found myself slamming. My depression played out in anger, which it can. Depression doesn't always have to be that like down and out feeling. It can make you act out in so many other ways. And I was, the time when I realized I was really in the depth of it is when I slammed my passageway door and it was a glass door and all the glass cracked. And I was in the corner of the kitchen literally losing it. And I had to phone my neighbour, thank God. She just ran straight over. What can I do? I said, I just need to have a shower. If any of you are parents out there or mums, you know what that feels like. So it was a time of my life that was really hard. And the thing is, what I realised when I look back at that time was I wasn't having great nutrition. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't doing anything for myself. I was putting myself last, which is kind of what you need to do when you have a brand new baby, but it has to be in balance. And I didn't ask for any help. So the thing is, I started to put things into place which began to help me to claw my way back out of that black hole. And I'm really passionate about sharing that with people, because if you have anxiety or depression, I do not believe that you have to have that forever. And in my clinic, I work as a naturopath. A couple of weeks ago, I had a 17-year-old girl come in, and it really scared me and it worried me. And I came home and I started crying to my husband, because I said, what are we doing wrong that a 17-year-old is on antidepressants? Now, there's plenty of people younger than that are getting put on antidepressants. And I believe it's a topic that we need to start talking about, and and that's why we're doing this talk. So there will be a recording of this if you want to share it with people. So what I wanted to talk about is really, how can you help yourself if you have anxiety or depression on a day-to-day basis? And Nat beautifully covered off a lot of what I'm going to say, but I'm just going to simplify it in my way. The first thing I will reiterate what Nat spoke about is the gut. So the integrity of your gut is paramount in healing anxiety and depression. Your gut is known as the enteric brain. It's got a name, which is called a brain. So yes, 70% of your serotonin is manufactured in your gut. Isn't that amazing? Serotonin is your feel-good hormone. So if you have anxiety or depression, the number one thing that you should do or could do to lift yourself out of it is go back to looking at the state of your gut. I'm not going to go through how to do that. Nat covered it off. And like Nick said, last month we did a whole talk on gut health. And if you want that information, please, please, please just reach out to any of us and we'll send you that. So gut health is number one. Number two is exactly what Nick spoke about. It's awareness. It's having that awareness of yourself and loving yourself enough to realize what you're actually going through. Okay? Anxiety and depression, when people are going through anxiety and depression, they can get very judged, because it's not a physical disease where somebody can look at them and say, oh, I can see she's got eczema, which is what I used to have, or I can see, this or that. They can't see it. So sometimes people are putting into the hypochondriac basket, or she's just, having a bad day again. The fact is, it's real for these people. And if you have that, it's about having self-awareness, about being aware of the state that your mind is in, and realizing that you have the ability, you have the power to change your state in every given moment. Tony Robbins talks about it a lot, doesn't he? Change your state, change your state, change your state. So we have that power within us as human beings, that gift to change our state. But you need to work out, how is it that you change your state? So an example for me is when I was going through this grief process after my child was born, and I'd be stuck inside all day with this child who didn't sleep, and I was going crazy and I was getting angry and I didn't know what to do. And then I remember one day having enough awareness of, Noreen, what are you doing? You're stuck inside this house, get outside. So I went for a walk with the dog, with the umbrella, in the rain, with the baby on the front back. There was no excuse. I was walking along and this old lady said to me, she goes, whoa, you got your hands full. And I thought, holy shit, yeah, you got it, lady, I do. But I tell you what I did during that walk is I changed my state. Okay, I got out of the house and I breathed. So a big key to getting out of anxiety and depression is your breath. If you don't know how to Ujjayi breathe, which is the yogi breath, or deep belly body breathe, just YouTube it. There's a ton of people that can teach you how to do that. It's pretty simple. It's about breathing into your belly and allowing the breath to come all the way up to your chest. But the key to this breath is the fact that it has the capacity and the ability to change your nervous system. So when we're talking about anxiety and depression, we're talking about nervous health, aren't we? So when you start to full body breathe, you actually changing your nervous system from the sympathetic nervous system response, which is flight, fight, and stress, and you're flicking a switch in your brain to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your relaxation response. Now, I think we can all agree that if you've got anxiety and depression, it's probably helpful if you're more relaxed. right? So deep body breathing every single day. And I mean, if you've got anxiety and depression, putting aside at least 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening to reset your nervous system. But you've got to have that awareness, right? To catch yourself when you feel yourself, you're teetering on the edge and you're about to go into the hole, change your state. So I want to talk about a daily ritual for anxiety and depression. Number one for me would be waking up. And I know this is hard if you're feeling depressed because the motivation goes, doesn't it? But please just try it. Try to wake up 10 to 15 minutes earlier than your kids, or 10 to 15 minutes earlier than that crazy rush for work starts in the morning, and give yourself a little bit of sanity time, I call it. It's me time. It's me going from sleep to becoming awake and not just slamming down on the alarm and getting into it. It's waking up in my bed and it's straight away awareness, deep body breathing. Because if you're a grumpy person in the morning, Nat, don't start laughing because Nat and I used to live together and I was never a morning person. But you know what? I've changed because I learned how to change my state. Deep body breathe in bed. If you wake up grumpy, you definitely have to do it. Okay, and then I start setting my intention. Set your intention for the day. What do you want your day to be like? You know, today I set my intention this morning is I want to feel peace, calm, and happiness today in my day. Then I do a visualization, which is great for anxiety or depression if you're feeling down. I use the power of visualization, which is imagining a white light or whatever coloured light you want to come down through, and I do say to myself, I now am healing every single cell of my body. I'm resetting my nervous system. You could say that if you have anxiety or depression, anything that you feel in tune with. So you have hugely changed your physiology before you've even gotten out of bed. That's the biggest gift that you can give to yourself if you've got anxiety or depression. Okay, what I would recommend if you have those things is to have some sort of inspirational wall in your bedroom right next to you. Okay, things that make you happy, things that light you up, things that lift you out of your funk. And look at that. It can be motivational quotes, it could be colours, whatever floats your boat. Wake up. That's the second thing you're going to see in the morning is this beautiful wall of joy and breathing it in. And then what I would recommend is even further changing your state. So having a practice that you do every day. That might look like deep breathing for 5 minutes for you. It might look like a yoga workout. And there's plenty of yoga workouts for depression online, so you could Google them. It could look like a really good app I would recommend is called Headspace. So you get 10 free sessions for free. And it's really good intro to learning how to get this headspace into a space of clarity for your day. Then to me, the next thing in the morning routine is whole food nutrition. If you don't fuel your body, and exactly what Nat said, you nourish the systems of your nervous system, your gut and your immune system with whole food nutrition, you're really starting 100 yards behind where you could be. Okay, we know that our body, we are what we eat, people. So if your head isn't doing good things for you and you're not happy, look at your diet. How can you change your morning routine? Warm water with lemon juice, maybe some turmeric and ginger, beautiful. Sculling some water the whole time you're doing your morning ritual, fantastic. You're hydrating every cell of your body, you're 80% water. Going into a beautiful superfood smoothie like what Nat talked about. I have one of the Juice Plus complete smoothies every morning because it's whole food nutrition in a sachet. It makes life simple for people that are struggling to put a healthy plate together for themselves. And when I was in my funk, I really couldn't be bothered. As much as I know I'm a naturopath and I should have been eating well, you know what? I didn't have the energy and I couldn't be bothered. So things like the Juice Plus Complete can be a total saviour if you're in that space. Okay, superfood your smoothie up, take your Juice Plus capsules. I mean, honestly, I didn't know about Juice Plus when I was going through my funk, and I was taking everything you can imagine under the sun, of course, being a naturopath. And I was taking copious amounts of multivitamins and minerals that were for pregnancy and after, and they just weren't touching what I needed to happen in my body. And I believe now, and this is just my personal opinion, that synthetic isolated vitamins and minerals is not what my body was searching for. My body was searching for nutrition that I wasn't putting in it. Okay, Juice Plus is a very simple, convenient solution for people in that funk. The Udos oil, not the Udos oil, used to take Udos oil, and now we've got the awesome omegas from Juice Plus. I think they are cutting edge, the best omegas in the world, hand on heart. And I'm very excited about what they can start to do for people's nervous system. So I've been putting them on my body for 3 weeks now, so we'll see how we go. Moving on into the day for anxiety and depression, you've got to get out into the sunshine, right? Vitamin D, it makes you feel good. So if you have anxiety, depression, you're going to work, how about instead of scrolling through Facebook and being bombarded by EMF stress all day, you went outside and did 3 minutes of deep breathing and ate your lunch under the tree with your shoes off on the earth, your feet on the earth, okay? It's the simple things. Honestly, it is. After 20 years in this industry, we are back to simplifying health. And I do believe it's not what you do once a month, it's what you do every single day. So I want to inspire you to change your state through your daily rhythms, and you will see your health and your anxiety and depression start to lift. And the best gift about that is you are doing it. You're not going to see a billion practitioners asking for them to fix you. You are fixing yourself. You know who your greatest healer is? Look in the mirror. It's you. But we have to have the tools to allow our bodies to do what they do best, which is health, healing, and love. The other things I'll just touch on briefly to finish up, I think for anxiety and depression, is you time every day. I know some of you might be flat tack busy. You might have 3 kids, you might have 5 kids, you might have 2 jobs, you might have no energy. But a little bit of you time every day, which is non-negotiable, will start to change your state. Gratitude journals can do a hell of a lot, no matter how bad things may seem. For example, when I was in my funk, I had a roof over my head, I had clothes, I had food, I had a beautiful son. For goodness sake, there's people that can't get pregnant. So remembering what you do have can also help to really put things into place for you if you're in that sort of funk. And the last thing I'm going to mention is Yoga Nidra. So if you don't know what it is, Yoga Nidra means yogi sleep, and a half an hour of Yoga Nidra is the equivalent for your brain as 3 hours of sleep. So you can imagine how much difference that can make to your daily life if you started practicing it. There's a very good website. It's a free resource called www.yoganidra, which is Nidra, yoganidranetwork.org. There's free downloads on there everywhere from 10 minutes to half an hour. Just put it on and you listen away. So that's all I'm going to share on tonight. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that I added some sort of value to all of you. And I'm going to hand it back over to Nick, who's going to close. I hope to see you all in our talk next month, where we're going to be getting pretty funny about women's health. Nat and I like to have a bit of fun on the calls. So Nick, I'm going to hand it back over to you. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Noreen. Well, there you have it, folks. Lots of really good information and solutions. Just goes to show the possibilities of modern day technology and real people coming together the way we are. The Foodie and the Naturopath, as I said, it's a series that's ongoing. Next month is women's health. And if you have any more questions about something that was mentioned on the call tonight, reach out to the person that either sent you this video or invited you to the call. And thanks for your time. When all else fails, each one teach one. This is what it's all about. Peace.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming on the call. Thanks, Nat, for your time. And thanks for all the comments, everyone. We feel very blessed to be able to be part of your community.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thank you.